when I taught at Morrison. I remember the first time I met you. It was a cold, rainy day, and you had driven all the way to Wilmington, North Carolina, to meet with me. And I just felt an instant connection. And I thought to myself then, God, if you will give me this opportunity, I would love to work with this woman and with the staff at Morrison. And he opened the door.
At PFO, when you were leading the spouse track, you were just such an encouragement to me and letting me know that my identity is not in being the spouse of someone who's going to be a teacher at Morrison, but that it's so much more than that, that I'm a son of God. And that really helped me a lot with this whole transition period.
And also just the first year we were here and we were writing our blog posts a lot. You were always one to give encouraging notes to us and comments and messages. And
she said, she handed me the keys and she said, "Your turn." I said, "No, I'm not driving." She said, "Well, I guess we'll have to walk home because if you don't, we don't get there." So with a lot of love and a lot of encouragement and a lot of help, we actually made it home in one piece. And if it weren't for her, I probably never would have made it in Taiwan.
You have impacted me by your steadfast love for Jesus, just your fantastic warmth and caring and welcome. And I'm so honored to be related to you through the McGills and Theobalds, and love you. Thank you for being such a precious person.
I remember when our boys were high school age and you worked with the youth at church. I always appreciated your time and influence with the youth. Last fall, out of the blue, you messaged me with the most kind and encouraging compliment. It was such a dear thought to message me when I popped into your mind. What an example to me to encourage others when they pop into my mind.
How much you've taught me about being a wife, being a mom, being a wife to a leader. And I thank you so much for all that you've taught me, for the love that you've always given to me.
We were doing Stromsburg Community Theater, and I was really questioning the amount of time that I was putting into it, feeling that it could be more well placed in mission work. And you informed me that that was my mission. It took away a great deal of guilt and allowed me to really invest and turn that portion of my life over to God's will.
You are a truly caring, kind class sponsor, and your testimony for Christ is richly reflected in how you brought up two children who have such gentle, humble, kind, loving spirits. You are a blessing from God.
Thank you for the way that you draw our attention often to the reality of eternity. And in the last staff devotions that you led here in our office, you reminded us that sadness and joy go hand in hand in this life until we reach heaven.
And I have absolutely loved watching you and learning from you. You taught me how to be classy and graceful no matter what. So thank you for all of that.
There are times in our life that we needed prayers. You were there to care and pray for us. Your decision to choosing joy is a true reflection of who you are and your relationship with God.
You blow me away with the way you can orchestrate puzzles, finding who will be best in this position, what person to hire for that position, and even house placements. Oh, it's a huge puzzle, and you never seem like it wasn't a task that God couldn't handle.
And you welcomed me. You welcomed me into the Morrison community, into the Morrison family, and you welcomed me with a hug. And that meant a lot to me, that to be welcomed in that way. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for the many years since then of how you supported me and how you supported the Morrison community.
Your love has really sustained me over the years, and I've treasured it in my heart all this time. You would invite all of us to sit around your living room. One of the happiest memories in my life.
It means a lot. You mean a lot to our family, and thank you for your support and your kindness. I know I get into lots of the troubles. I know that, and but you have always trying to help me, and I do thankful for that.
I always felt welcome in your office. I loved going in there to chat, to laugh, to cry, to listen to Christmas music. And one of the biggest things that you taught me is that you encouraged me and you edified me to speak authority over my fears and the authority that I have in Jesus Christ. And I will never forget that.
And Bonnie, I know that you impacted the school in so many ways, especially with senior retreat and caring so much about transition and making sure that happened well. And I know our PFO days were great, and you really influenced people there in helping them prepare for crisis management.
I'll always remember the time we first met at the Iowa Job Fair, February of 2015. And I remember how loving and caring you were, and Tim too. But you have impacted us amazingly with your life, and both you and Tim.
Let's go to the Shacks, have some caramelized bananas. Wow, that was something else. And how about another little treat? So I tell Nathan, yeah, go ahead, you give me something, your choice. Your eyes got real big. You said, Nathan, keep it edible. That was pretty funny. You guys have showed us and continue to show us new things and experience new things. It's wonderful.
Appreciated your visit with Tim to our family in New York City in 2006 and learning about your PhD dissertation. Very positive story. Thank you for that. By the way you and Tim met at TMF in the 70s was a model and an example my father would hold up to me and say, Roy, maybe you could marry the way Tim and Bonnie met.
If it wasn't for your just unflappable presence in my life, dealing with me being such a mess and overwhelmed, teaching me to be brave and drive a scooter and drive a car and how to order tea and just helping me. I just really adore you. I love that I can trust you and you're authentic and that you are one of the wisest women in my life.
One of the big ones is just having you invite us over to your house and you serving a nice dinner with your fine china and just being real intentional about that, and we appreciate that about you.
We also want to thank you so much for all of these years, always speaking truth to us, even when it was difficult for you, and we knew that your heart was burdened. We also want to thank you so much for the way that you loved our kids and prayed for them all of these years.
You were such a blessing. Even filled with pain, you were putting others before yourself. Thank you for blessing Ron's in my life.
And you've just been a great inspiration to me. You're choosing joy through this hard time. So blessed to be able to spend time with you and Tim in Taiwan. Awesome time.
Hello, Bonnie. This is Russ O'Hara. I love you very much. I'm praying for you. Thank God for the great memories of the past.
It's been quite a while since we've seen each other, but you were like a second mom to me back in grade school, and I have so many fond memories of you and your family. Thank you for being who you are.
But I'd have to say the most important was the way in which you not so gently nudged me in the direction of making a definitive decision about marrying Peggy. And that has been the most important decision I have made in my life, other than to embrace and follow and love Jesus.
There was a comment that you said my senior year that you probably just said it. It was a small little thing, but I remembered it, and it made a huge impact even to me today. And you said something that, Sam, you are a charming guy. And I don't know if I agree with you, but you thought that, and it made a huge difference in me to actually start to believe in myself, to think that I had more to offer than I realized. And that's just who you are. You see the best in people, and you want the best in people. And because of that, you are an incredibly amazing woman and made a huge impact in all of our classes.
Right from the get-go, you were a mentor and teacher to me through the strength that you showed in your caring nature, but your conviction in the Lord. And I'm always going to remember that, and thank you for bringing me into Morrison.
Have poured prayers after prayers into my life, and encouragement and exhortations, and just really challenged me in my walk with the Lord. I'm truly grateful for you, and respect and admire you a lot.
Just getting a chance to be in Bible study with you and Tim those first couple of years that we were there helped our transition so much. Gave us that support group that we so desperately needed and didn't even realize we needed at the time. And just that encouragement along the way.
The way that you treated us, one as a family, and just the way that when we asked questions, you would get back to us like it wasn't a burden, like we weren't bothering you by asking you questions, that you were happy to help. Just such an amazing woman of God, and you're the way you live your life is just a testimony of who He is.
I was young and didn't know what the heck I was doing, and you were always just so encouraging and kind. So thank you for that.
Thank you for setting a good example. You're faithful, you're confident, you're grounded in God's truth, which gives you so much wisdom. You are so highly intelligent and discerning, insightful. You care for people incredibly well, down to details. I just thank you for that.
And had just such a fun women's weekend where she just inspired us and encouraged me as a young newly married to seek God and continue to be patient with my husband.
Bonnie speaks Chinese very few, but she and the team became to be our close family in Tanzhi Jiaohui, Tanzhi Church, for last more than 10 years. Bonnie also holds an English class in the church. She is patient to all the students. I much appreciate the friendship with Bonnie.
We're so thankful for your wisdom and your how you welcomed us to the Morrison community.
From day one, we saw just so much wisdom, and you have such a servant heart, servant attitude that's been such an example to us, and was such a influencing factor in encouraging us to come to Taiwan to come work at Morrison.
Bonnie, when we said goodbye and that we loved each other, you told me that you loved the best you knew how. And that's one of the things I appreciated most about you. You loved your best through your words, through your actions, and through your prayers.
Is the way that you would lead us in prayer during our class meetings in high school, our class officer meetings in high school. We would all close our eyes and prepare to pray, and then you would just pause. But that pause, I know, was to focus your mind and your heart on approaching the throne of grace. And while we may have wondered whether you were ever going to start praying, that memory is a reminder and a challenge to me on a daily basis. Well, thank you for living your life so openly and so fully that I could see your love with Jesus and your walk with Jesus. And I'm not okay with what's happening right now. I can appreciate the beauty that before you go talk to Jesus, you're leading us all in a pause to find joy in His presence.